So hopefully everyone has gone and done their breaks like Dan and I have. We've both had our water and bathroom breaks and settling into this next piece where Dan, you're going to guide us through a TLC experience, I'll call it.
Yeah, thank you. Excuse me. Voices, uh, voices happy, actually. So I thought about this because I thought, what could I do with you guys that would be something that most people could relate to, that could be transformed into a self-application. And pretty much everyone I've ever met at some stage in their life has had a feeling of TLC towards something or someone, whether it's a kitten or a puppy or a baby or something. There's that sense of TLC. And at some point, they would have felt that. And over the years, I've learned that whilst it's easy to give TLC, maybe to kittens, puppies, and babies, and certain kinds of people, it can be more challenging to give it to ourselves. And sometimes we're the ones that really need it most. So I thought being able to choose to be able to have a TLC state at our best for ourselves would be a useful thing to do. So I've kind of put something together for this, and what I've put together is inspired by a couple of things. It's inspired by some work from John Grinder from the world of NLP, but it's not an NLP technique. It's inspired by some of the work of David Grove in Clean Language, which is all about metaphor. And it's inspired by a whole lot of other things that I can't think of right now. But all these things in my history have combined to this. And it's a really simple process. Excuse me, burping. It's a really simple process. So just before we start, I just thought I'd say, okay, so what does those words, TLC, we know that word, what does it mean? What does tender mean? And I think tender means to act with a gentle kindness towards somebody else or something. We're tender, we're soft. Loving. Loving's a big word, and love's got many, many meanings. And that can be a big, like the word art, there's so many meanings. But what does it mean to be loving to someone or to ourselves? And in the sense of it being a demonstration of fondness and affection and a devotion to ourselves, in that sense, I'm inspiring myself here to think that it's that kind of loving. And care, what does that mean? It means to look after someone. It means to take care of someone, to look after them. So having that tender, loving care for ourselves sounds like a great thing. And now, in all the years that I've worked, you know, people do many things to care for themselves. They'll do yoga, they'll do meditation, they'll go have a massage, they'll eat some healthy food, they'll take a nap, they'll go for a walk on the beach. There's all sorts of things you can do, and you can do those things. And they can be a little bit of TLC. But you can also have TLC when you do the cleaning, when you go and do the shopping, when you change kids' nappy, when you wipe up the dog shit. Because it's really, it's the quality of how we are. It's a quality of how we're being in ourselves. It's a state. And if we're in that state, we could be more loving and caring cleaning up the dog poo than if we were in a yoga class with an attitude of self-loathing. So for me, it's about how do we create and generate a state of TLC at our best that we can switch into or dial up or turn on or wear or embody or embrace, because it's something we can practice doing.
Yeah.
It's not something we have to wait for to come along and kind of inspire us, but it's something we can have a choice around. And if we build the neurology, the biology, and the physiology around doing that, it can become something we can do quicker. But that's the kind of sense of it. When I talk about our state, it's one of those words, again, it means different things to different people. But for me, the state we're in is the sum total of everything that's going on at that point in time. It's what we're doing physiologically and chemically. It's what we're doing emotionally, mentally, spiritually, creatively. It's the whole thing at that given point in time. And that state we're in has an impact and an influence on how we experience what we're doing or how we're being.
Mm-hmm.
So this little process is simple, and I'll create a little handout for it and make that available. So if people want to read it as well as hear it, they can read it as well. So what I'd like us to do is to take a few moments to prepare ourselves for the exercise. So whatever way works best for you, get yourself comfortable. And most of all, just give yourself permission to play with this. Give yourself that permission to have a go at the exercise, to join in. And you can do it laying down, you can do it standing up, you can do it sitting down, but preferably don't do it standing on one leg with your eyes closed. That might be too challenging. Be willing to let your imagination become free as we kind of go through this journey. And then when you're ready, I'm going to invite you to create a stillness in your body. A calm stillness, not a stiff stillness. A stillness that says, I'm relaxed. I don't have to move and fidget unnecessarily. But if you need to move, you can move. But I'd invite you to move from a default of calm and still. I invite you to allow the exercise to just happen and kind of flow with it. And to know, really know, that there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's just doing it. Okay, so let's begin. So consider for a moment what it would be like for you to have a deeply powerful state of being able to have tender, loving care for yourself at your best. But you could apply it to anything that you were doing when you needed it. Just want you to consider that for a moment. Remember, we're allowing our imagination off the leash to serve us and be playful with us to create something beautiful. Now imagine yourself doing this, and let's call this process TLC at your best. So we're going to go through some components of this, and the first thing is breath. When we're doing TLC at our best, it's about how we become present to our breath. So here's the question. What kind of breath do you have when you are filled with TLC at your best? And just allow yourself to begin to have that breath right now. And as you have that breath, and you continue to have that breath, and enjoy that breath with that lovely kindness to yourself, with that way that's allowing yourself to demonstrate your intention to serve yourself and to take care of yourself. As you allow that breath to continue, it's like you to consider next how you will hold yourself and how you carry yourself in your posture when you're doing TLC at your best. So just allow yourself now to shift in whichever way you need to or not, to allow your posture, whether you're sitting, standing, or doing whatever you do, to be a reflection and an embodiment of you doing TLC at your best. And as you feel that physiology in your body, with the microscopic little awareness of your muscles moving, just shifting your posture so that your posture is that representation of you doing TLC at your best. And as you continue to be now in that posture and continue to breathe, just allow your imagination and your lovely mind to start to think about how you move when you move through the world. When you are doing TLC at your best, how do you move? How do you move your body? How do you move your body consciously when you make a gesture? How do you move your body consciously when you walk? Just have a mindful thought about that. And just feel yourself moving in that way when you're doing TLC at your best. And our body doesn't just move consciously. Our body is always moving. In fact, everything's always moving. And there are movements in your body right now that you don't have a conscious control over. But when you've got TLC at your best, what's the quality of the flow of that movement in your circulation as the blood flows around your body, as the energy flows around your body, as your heart energy flows around your body? How does that energy move when you're allowing yourself to do tender, loving care at your best? And as your attention becomes present to the way that you move, and continues to be present to that, and continues to be present to the postures that you hold and carry with elegance and grace and ease, and the breath that supports you, I'd like you to begin to consider how you engage with your mind when you're doing TLC at your best. How you engage with the thoughts that become welcome and supportive for you when you're doing TLC at your best. As the part of your mind opens, and like a door, and the thoughts come in that nourish you, nurture you, support you. Those thoughts that are there to be with you in devotion and love, to support you to be the person you are. As those thoughts come in, what kind of thoughts are those thoughts? And allow those thoughts to be welcome and to bring their friends. And as those thoughts come in, and those thoughts fill our mind, how does that respond in our body? How do we respond? How do we engage with the feelings that we experience, our emotions and our sensations? What kind of feelings become present in us? What kind of feelings become useful to us? What kind of feelings can we enjoy in terms of the sensations and the emotions that we experience in our body? And as you think about that right now, allow your imagination to fill your body with the sensations that you would feel when you're doing TLC at your best. The feelings that are welcome and supportive of you, that nourish you. Because not everything we take in is nutritious. Not all food is nourishing. And in the same way, we can have in our mind thoughts that are nourishing or thoughts that are junk thoughts. And when we're doing TLC at our best, let's take in thoughts that are nourishing thoughts. Let's take in sensations into our body and experience them in ways that nourish us, feed us, fuel us, and build us up. And as we're allowing those thoughts into our system, and we're experiencing those feelings in our system, what kind of choices do we make when we're doing tender, loving care at our best? What kind of choices are good for us? What do we say yes to? What do we say no to? And it's okay to say no to. When we're doing TLC at our best, what are our boundaries like? Our boundaries that say, hey, that's okay for me, but that's not okay for me, so we're not going to go there, I'm not going to do that. When we're being TLC at our best, we can have those boundaries in place that demonstrate the care we're taking of ourselves, the way that we're loving ourselves and being devoted. And true love often has a little cost, or sometimes a big cost. The truest love is even sometimes sacrifice. So sometimes to love ourselves in the deepest way, we have to sacrifice other things that are not what we need to be doing. And then finally, when we get to do the things that we have to do, And it doesn't matter whether we're cleaning the house, watching a movie, going for a walk, doing a dance class, doing a yoga class, conducting a session with somebody, whatever we do. How do we do what we do when we're in that state of TLC at our best? How does it inform us when our breathing is working to support us? When our posture is working to support us? When our movements are flowing to support us? When our thoughts are becoming present to support us? When our feelings in our body are there to support us? And when the choices we make are supporting us? How does that affect the choices we make and the actions we take with the things that we do? And just as you allow yourself and your imagination and the power of your amazing system to begin to integrate all of these pieces in whichever way it needs to do for you. And understand that there's no right way or wrong way. There's just allowing your mind to play with this. Taking which bits seem to really work. And allowing your deeper system to just do its magic. Being in that state of willingness to be kind to yourself, to be devoted to your well-being, to care for yourself, like you would if it were a child, like you would if it were perhaps a puppy or a kitten that caught your heart in a way. It's that willingness to begin to fall in love with doing that for yourself. And the kind of love I'm talking about is not the kind of love where we fall into infatuation or lust, but it's the kind of love that we would have for a child or a parent or another human being, that we have a sense of connection and commitment and devotion to. And it's falling in love in that way with yourself. So the relationship you're having with yourself is one where you are loving yourself like you would love that child, like you would love that sister, like you would love that parent. And allowing yourself to create that state where you're willing to apply that TLC at your best to yourself. But just take some moments now to just be in your body and enjoying what you're enjoying, and allowing your imagination and your mind to just go wherever it feels inclined to go, to show you a glimpse of how you can be in a state of TLC in whatever you choose to do or not do. And remember that not doing is as much of a choice as doing, because it's still a doing. And sometimes the most important thing to do is nothing. And in that, other things are happening. And as you just allow yourself to be present to what's happening right now, and breathe, and allow your body posture to be what it needs to be, to represent to you and to give you that experience of TLC, to notice movement, and even the movement that's beneath your skin that you can't see with the gross movement of the eye and the hands and the body moving, but those movements under the surface, feel those. Notice the thoughts and the feelings, and be aware of the choices that you'll make when you're loving yourself at your best, and how you go about doing that. And then when you're ready, just take a few moments and you can just gently open your eyes. Mm.
Mm.
Mm. So I don't know for you guys listening what your triggers for TLC would be, whether it would be a child, whether it be a particular person. It doesn't matter what it is. But I hope that what you can begin to see and begin to realize is that tender loving care isn't just a feeling that comes and goes. It can be a choice for a state that you can learn to have and embody and mature and grow and develop and become comfortable using. The more comfortable you become using it, the more easier it is. And often for people, it's just uncomfortable to point that TLC at themselves.
Mm. Yeah, I'd love to drop into, before we were recording, you were talking about TLC as you were doing the laundry, and that was one of the things that um, typically, like, I will get a little irritated about.
Yeah.
Is when there's, the piles. I mean, everyone knows what it's like. There's the piles of laundry, and if you're alone, you might not know too much about this, or maybe you are a clothes horse. But in this house of 4 people and lots of visitors, there's a lot of piles of laundry, and I could really see myself standing there at the washing machine and just being in a state of appreciating and taking care of these items that actually support me in my life and take care of me. They keep me warm. They dry me off when I'm wet. they they make it possible for me to sleep in the same bed over and over again, and not get filthy. These sheets and the towels and all of the stuff.
Yeah.
Being able to really appreciate them and almost taking care of them because they take care of me. And that was how I could tune into feeling that TLC with my laundry, my
I love that.
nemesis.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, well, here on the Canadian Netflix, we have a beautiful show now called Tidying Up, from a Japanese woman who wrote The Art and Magic of Tidying Up, I think it's called. And so she's sort of taken Canada by storm, and there's been news features with, wow, Canada is cleaning up its act because this woman is sort of like sweeping through the nation, or this show, and it's her that has really brought that awareness of being in relationship in a tender way with your house that protects you and allows you to do all the things that you can do without having to be in the elements, and just really appreciating those things and being able to be in a tender relationship with them. And
beautiful. Yeah, I think I saw a little interview, and what really struck me about the interview was, and I'm trying to remember it here, but it was something along the lines of, there was a couple and they'd learned to tidy their space and minimize their space, but it had had a generalized effect beyond the house.
yes,
In the sense of, actually, we're enjoying life more.
Yeah.
We're enjoying each other more.
Yeah.
So there was, and that's a beautiful example of generalization. Like this old psychology story of Albert and the rat, which is quite a horrible story. But it's really when we build a connection to something, it generalizes to other things. And this little process is framed around TLC, but we could change the words from TLC to self-nourishing. We could change the words to appreciating yourself. We could change the words to being creative and being free. We could change the words to being willing to live life on your terms. Because the principles are the same. It still involves breathing. It still involves posture.
Mm-hmm.
It still involves movement.
Mm-hmm.
It still involves thought. It still involves feeling. It still involves choice. And it still involves ultimately a performance of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
But the structure of going through those key parts, the breath, the posture, the movement,
Mm-hmm.
we can use that as a framework, and we can use it quickly to just generate a state that's useful, helpful, supportive, nurturing, nourishing, kind in whatever situation we need. And if we do it in one, it will creep across.
Yeah, I love that. And I was just picturing, um, you know, this state of being that you can induce
Hmm.
in that way and in that order or whatever order sort of makes sense to you, using
Yeah.
that technique that somehow what it almost opens up your vessel, and this being kind of fill your cup retreat. It's really about how do we become more receptive to the nourishment um, and care and support that is around us, so that our cup keeps filling up.
Yeah.
And so I can really see how that's really a useful tool,
Hmm.
um, to get yourself into a receptive state of being, so that
Yeah.
what is there can suddenly, like you were saying before, how the toilet paper roll and then expanding it out.
Hmm.
Now all of the nourishing and nurturing things that are around us, like my laundry, we can change the way we're being so that it comes in and it can be nourishing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
as I was kind of sitting with this and just kind of reflecting on what I've shared, my mind's going back to just some simple thoughts about, when we're born, we're not born with an ability to not care for ourselves. Well, that's not true. We don't know how to care for ourselves in a practical way because we can't go get food, we can't do it. But in that personal kind of psychological, self-destructive way, we haven't learned how to not love ourselves.
Right.
We learn to do that.
Yes.
It's something that we don't learn it consciously. Often we learn it through absorption, through the environment, and through what's coming. But it's learned. It's not something that's forced upon us against our will. In some way, our neurology takes on the patterns. And the reason I'm sharing that is simply because if we learn one set of patterns, if we learn how to, like I learned how to be self-destructive.
Mm,
So I learned how to not listen. But
mm,
that means that I can learn the opposite. I
yeah.
can learn how to be self-constructive, and I can learn how to listen.
Mm,
I just have to learn how to do that and be that, and then practice it,
mm,
especially in the beginning when it feels uncomfortable.
mm, mhm.
And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, one of my intentions, for these sessions are for people to be able to make that coming back to center as automatic as they go into fight, flight, freeze. So as quickly and as subtly as and automatically and unconsciously that
yeah,
our nervous system will go into the sympathetic nervous system gets activated. Let's also make it as automatic to have the parasympathetic nervous system come back online as well.
yeah,
So that's what I'm hoping that these practices and these experiences, like literally having the experience of feeling what it's like to be in the parasympathetic nervous system, will start to become, just over the 7 days, even more automatic. People are,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
then they can tune in over and over again. So that is really my hope, because oftentimes, I was having a beautiful conversation with Rachel Blackman on one of the integration sessions, and we were talking about that, how once we get to a certain point that the fight flight has been, you've been stuck in there for a while, that it the parasympathetic nervous system can go a little bit offline. And the only way to really reset it is to get into a quiet, actually dim place, like a darkened area, and really be undisturbed for a period of time, whatever that may be. And for your system. And I really, something about that idea really spoke to me, because I've been through burnout a number of times, and sort of nurtured back by my own community, thankfully. And that winter brings us this, winter brings us this opportunity to be able to reset the nervous system, and to be able to maybe even, start to create this new network, this canopy, if you will, of practices that will then bring the nervous system back, realign, reset, recenter. So that's my hope. And I really want to thank you for helping and supporting that notion, that we can do that for ourselves. That we can, like you say, we can learn one thing, we can certainly learn the other thing too, right? So I guess I want to appreciate you for your time, and for this sort of great look at how the mind plays such a part in creating the experience of the body, in when it comes to nurture and nourishment and taking things in, that we can use our minds and the power of our minds, of the learning parts of our minds, to create ourselves as a vessel to take in these beautiful experiences that are always available to us. Gratitude and beauty and appreciation, inspiration, all those things. Thank you for supporting us to do that. I really appreciate it.
It's a fantastic privilege to be able to support people. And thank you for offering me the opportunity to talk. Great.
And if you want to get more about Dan, I have listed on the event page, I have your, I think it's your website listed, or your LinkedIn, maybe your LinkedIn profile. But is there any other ways that people could experience? Do you have anything on YouTube, or do you have ways to experience what you're doing?
So I've been kind of hidden for a long, long time, and becoming visible. Yay. Exactly. At the moment, I'm in the process of constructing a website, which will contain lots and lots of resources and stuff. And the name of the website is Healthy Harmonious Humans, or HHHumans.com, which is my vision. I want healthy, harmonious humans.
Beautiful.
And I want to be able to contribute to helping create a little more health, a little more harmony, and a little more willingness to be human. So Healthy Harmonious Humans is the name of the business. At the moment, if you go to the website, you'll get a site under construction thing.
Yes.
But it will happen.
Awesome. I love this. This is so exciting. I'll definitely want to link you up on my website if possible, just to, once you kind of get it up and running, because it would be great to be witnessing the development of that.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Stop me running away from it.
Well,
awesome.
You are definitely strike me as a healthy, harmonious human. So, and willing to go in and out of these centered places and these nurturing places, with among all the treks through the muck and the swamplands as well.
Yeah.
So thanks for taking this journey with me, and I hope to be talking to you again in the future, maybe about some other projects together. That would be really wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you, Shealagh.
Okay,
thank you for appreciating this. Bye now.
Bye for now.